global marketing, that's a big word. Thought about there are 189 export markets, so which one to talk about? But actually, the largest market is not a geographical market at all. There is one client on the planet, which is the single largest client on the planet for almost every service and every product. And I believe nobody can guess who that is. It's actually the US government. Now I hear you saying, what the heck do I have to do with the US government, because it's 6,000 miles away from Britain, and how could I do business with them? Now, interesting enough, the US government does not only buy products in domestic US. Historically, the largest community of Americans and American organizations is in Europe. Basically started after World War II, when all these armed forces bases started to crisscross Europe, and today 25% to 30% of the American government budget is actually spent in supply of all these bases and embassies in Europe. Now I don't know about you, but I can not very easily relate to very big figures, and when I tell you that the annual spend is $1,300 billion, that just sounds like an awful lot. I put it in perspective, it's the GDP of France. So you have one single client who is spending the GDP of France year on year in supply of almost everything. From pens to houses, from web design to stationery, from office furniture to car tires. They basically buy everything that an organization needs to operate and everything that people do consume. Many people think of government and get a bit scared because, you know, our impression is government, it's bloody tenders, it's endless paperwork, it's lousy prices. And I can understand this because that's the way most traditional governments in Europe work and operate, and everyone who ever attended a tender may share some of these painful experiences. Now the beauty of doing business with the Americans is they don't have them. They can say about the Americans what you want, but they are bloody practical. The way they operate is you get scrutinized once, and then you get on their procurement schedule as a preferred supplier, and they leave you alone for 5 years. And after 5 years, you need to go scrutinizing process. And there are no tenders as we know them. Doing business with the US government means that you do business as you would do with your commercial customers, which means they invite you to discuss a project or procurement with you, and you send them an email with your offer or a fax or whatever you do, and they buy or they won't buy from you, and if they don't buy from you, they will tell you why they haven't bought from you. Now most of the time it has absolutely nothing to do with the price. In effect, they pay very, very good prices, and that has a reason. The procurement policy of the US government is not best price, it's best value. Because simply they calculated that it takes too many man hours and money to repair or replace mediocre quality. So they buy decent quality in the first place. And for them there are more important considerations such as lifetime guarantee, life cycle management of a product or service, trading opportunities, environmental issues. Basically all the good stuff we already talk about in marketing and try our customers to appreciate it, but they still don't, because the only thing they appreciate usually is the lowest bloody price. So doing business with the US government is really, really a pleasant experience. Now, as it happens, in the UK we have 14 of the largest US American bases covering the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army, and they buy a lot of products that go to UK, to Europe, but also to Middle East and even to Iraq and Afghanistan. And the surprising thing is, this is a big market, it's a niche market, nobody knows about it, because simply those who are in, they don't necessarily want to share their knowledge, and those who are outside, they can't look inside. Because the nature of the beast is you cannot walk on any base or into an embassy and say, hey, I'm Leslie, I'm running a marketing company, I'd like to speak to someone in charge of buying these services, and by the way, can I leave a few brochures? because without a good reason and appointment you won't get through the gate in the first place. And that's the interesting thing, because when you are on government procurement schedule, which is basically their intranet, the way it works is someone has a job to buy, say, 20 new computers or 50 new office chairs. So what they do is they go on their computer or they call their nearest procurement office and say, who are the accredited suppliers in my geographical area? And then they get a list of 3, 4, 5, sometimes just one, and your competition is completely standard stuff. And they give you a call and they say, well, I have this project and I have a budget and I want an offer and I want to discuss it with you. So number one, you don't have any overspin. If you go to them and you talk about project, then there is a project, there is a need, and there is an approved budget. Number two, there is no haggling and dealing, because the budget is the budget. If they don't spend their budget, they hate that because they don't get the same money next year. They can't overspend it. So usually it's a very casual way of doing business. They tell you what they can spend and you do the best to exactly meet their spend on the penny. Well, that's what I want to say. I don't know why I made this script. I'm busted anyway. Right, interesting thing is, a couple of years ago, I think it was 4 years ago, we had the EU enlargement, which means that all these Eastern European countries joined the EU. Now that has created very interesting opportunities, again, with the Americans. Why? Because traditionally, there was a wall of bases through Germany defending the border to the big bad East. Now the government decided, well, if there is still such a thing as a border to the east, it's no longer in Germany, it's now 1,000 miles east. And subsequently, what happened is they're moving a lot of existing bases from UK and from Western Europe into new places like Poland and Bulgaria and Czechoslovakia, and name them all the way from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. And these bases are being built now over the next 10, 15 years. They don't take all the stuff they have in their old bases. They buy everything new because they want to take this opportunity to buy new material and better material. And this has opened an awful lot of new business opportunities, starting from relocation services, or this office space planning, to design, to landscaping, to facility management. And the beauty of it is, these are ideal opportunities for British businesses. Why? Simply because we share the same language, and believe it or not, it makes all the difference. Because 90% of the suppliers to the US government are small and medium-sized businesses. And if you talk about small and medium-sized businesses in Germany or in Italy or in Spain, that's not easy for them to find fully fluent English-speaking salespeople. The managing director may speak English, yes, but you don't find English-speaking people on the road, which makes it very difficult for them to compete. And even if they have salespeople who can speak English, whether their back office can and whether they can issue an English invoice is a completely different story. And that's why it's ideal business for British companies, because all that structure that is something for the others to set up and to challenge is something that is given in our country anyway. Key products, for example, I think I mentioned it, some of them facility management, that is amazing. I just spoke to one single base in Germany and they spend $5 million just on paint jobs every year. Now, if you extrapolate it, it's okay, facility management is a heck of a lot more than just painting walls. It's landscape gardening, pest control, lift maintenance and all this. I think that must be 20 or 30 million for this one base. Now there are hundreds of bases across Europe, and they don't have enough suppliers. Because American companies who do serve the government in America are much too busy, so they don't come to Europe. As simple as that, they don't need to. So if you want to do business without, or export business without even leaving the country, I think an ideal starting point is to do business with the government. It's relatively easy to get into, and if you are interested in some more information, there are a number of information packs available, and if there are not enough, just let me know and I'm happy to send you some, which gives you all the information about it. Thank you very much.